Well, to kick off the bowl season, we have a really fun one that came down to the very last week of the regular season. We're talking, of course, about Friday, December 16th, the Bahamas Bowl between Miami of Ohio and UAB. The Blazers and the Redhawks. You can watch this at 10:30 a.m. if you're in God's time zone. ESPN is where you can find it. And of course, as is in the name, this is in the Bahamas. Garrett, this is one of the most fun bowl games of the entire season, one that you feel like a lot of kids at that group of five level are always excited to play in. UAB had a really, really solid season. Miami of Ohio sneaks in on the last weekend. Walk us through the preview here. UAB clearly the favorite coming in, but maybe the Redhawks have something to say about that.
Oh yeah, no, UAB definitely, I think, the better team on paper, but of course, this is why you bring these games to the Bahamas to play them. UAB currently favored by 11. They just score a lot more than I think Miami does. I think they're just the better offense at the moment. The Redhawks, they beat Bowling Green in a defensive slugfest to punch their ticket to the Bahamas Bowl. It doesn't take away from the fact that this offense has been pretty bad, though, and so it's not necessarily that it can't succeed. It's just that, they are going to need to do a lot more on the offensive side to keep up with a team like UAB and keep that minus 11 somewhat competitive.
I think UAB, and you can find all of these previews on Twitter as well in their text-based format. UAB wins if Miami of Ohio wins if is something that we're going to be walking through throughout all of these bowl games. UAB certainly the more consistent side, and I think if they stay on the ground, they've got one of the best players in the country. You and I talked about him during our award show, Dwayne McBride, 1,700 yards on the ground.
Sensational.
Blazers averaged almost 6 yards a carry when he was in the backfield. That's really, really tough to stop, even though Miami of Ohio is a defensive specialist team. UAB also needs to be disruptive in the backfield, considering they only tallied 57 tackles for losses. That's in the entire season. They only had 21 sacks as well. I think you looked at Drew Tuazoma, the edge, just a junior edge, led the team with 5.5 tackles for loss, 4.5 sacks. As long as he can get into the backfield and disrupt a backup quarterback for Miami of Ohio, I think UAB certainly has the edge, but they can't just mail this one in.
Yeah, like you were saying, Avion Smith, he will be in there at quarterback now that Brett Gabbert's in the portal. Again, for an offense that maybe is going to struggle a little bit, he's going to have to be pretty good. He's going to have to find a way to be dynamic and really push the ball down the field, do something to help this offense get moving. Look, Miami, they barely score 20 points a game, so they're going to have to find some kind of way to get to 24, 28, something like that. They've only done it a couple of times this year. They got 31 against Robert Morris. So, they're going to have to find a way to kind of push the bill a little bit there. Thankfully, they only manage 4.8 yards per play, but they don't give up that many yards either, right?
Sure.
So only 22 points per game, only 5.5 yards per game. And so I'm just kind of thinking, in terms of what they're able to do, they're going to have to find a way to push it a little bit, but I don't think that they have to be that good on offense. Again, I think they'll be able to keep them at bay a little bit on the defense and hold guys like McBride down a little bit.
I've got UAB winning this one 35-14. I think they've got the more consistent offense, and with Brett Gabbert in the transfer portal for Miami of Ohio, leaning on a backup quarterback, typically in bowl season, not the key to success. We've seen that time and time again. A lot of underperformances. Throw in the fact that, hey, listen, I'm happy the Redhawks made it to the Bahamas, but boy, they had to scrap tooth and nail to get there. UAB's the better side here. Give me the Blazers big in the first bowl game of the year.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. I'm going to slightly modify the score. I'm going to go 28-13. Going to kind of drop both totals down a little bit. Don't think this is a big total. You're leaving the country. You can't underestimate that. It's also 11:30 a.m. So, it's a little bit of an interesting time slot to be playing in. I think that UAB ends up winning this one pretty comfortably, but I think behind the run game, you're going to run a little bit more clock and not have as many opportunities to score.
Postseason is here. Welcome to bowl season, everybody.
Gracious him. How about that?